This is a EDM 310 production, Group 1, TT2. My name is Taisha Biggs.
I'm Hunter Talent.
My name is Ronnie Naw.
And I'm Laura Andrews.
We have topic 5, detailing and testing pedagogy. We have, for the most part, been using in our world schools has become less and less effective with today's students. A better pedagogy is needed, and the good news is that it's available and usable today. Our first question.
Via Mark Prinsky teaching digital natives. Don't want to copy or don't want to plagiarize.
Our first question is, what is the better pedagogy according to Prinsky?
Who wants to field that one? Okay. He discusses a pedagogy that he calls partnering, which is essentially you don't want what he calls telling and testing, which is the traditional lecture and then testing the knowledge of the students to see if they retain the material. He wants a teacher to act less as an orator and more as a guide, and the students to become self-guided learners, researchers, thinkers, and not regurgitation.
Yeah, it also asks how does it work. So one way is like open-ended questions.
Instead of lecturing, giving, like you just said, open-ended questions so that the kids can do their own research and figure out things on their own instead of just being told everything. They get to kind of explore the topics.
Because when the students do their own research, they are more able to learn better and comprehend the information better and retain it better.
Our next question is, why does Prinsky believe it is more effective than telling and testing?
He basically goes on to, it's quite some length, I might add, discussing that basically gamifying technology causes children to retain more information or be able to apply it more. That's his main theory, and that children not only need to be challenged but need to be interacted with less than talked to. Like you need to question them, because if they can apply it, they understand the knowledge.
Right.
As opposed to just regurgitating it onto a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm. Okay, our next question is, what has to be done to implement it?
To implement it, the teacher would have to, I guess, first of all, get in that mindset where she's not, just lecturing and telling everything, and start using lesson plans that are more open-ended and research-based, and have the materials to do so, like iPads and laptops and things of that sort.
The technology is a big portion of this. Unless you want to break out the encyclopedias.
Okay. Do you agree with Prinsky's assessment of the effectiveness of his new pedagogy? Why or why not?
Go ahead.
You want to go? Well,
no.
Yes and no for me, because I think that with anything, too much of anything is a bad thing. But happy medium is called a happy medium for a reason. So I believe that you shouldn't discount lecture, because before I was an education major, I was biomedical sciences. And when you get up into material of that depth, like biochemistry or physiology, they tried team-based learning with us and with physiology, and it basically they had to. We struggled through because they would ask us, well, what do you think it means that the nephrons are putting out this chemical, and we had no clue. So I believe you should teach the fundamentals of say a system like math. Like you can't give a child numbers on a sheet of paper and say, what do you think? You've got to teach them the basics,
Mm-hmm.
and then from that foundation you ask questions. Like more when you get into the more philosophical realm, like literature. I think all literature classes should be open-ended because there's so many different interpretations. But on some things, I think you should stick with the lecture.
Yeah, I agree with you on yes and no. For example, I've been in some classrooms here recently, and students always ask, how to spell words and stuff. That's not something they can look up on their own because some letters have the same sound, and unless you know the specific rule for that word or situation, they're not going to know how to spell it. So that's something you need to ask, and until you learn that from the teacher, you're not going to know or know how to look it up.
I think I definitely agree with yes and no too, because I think all of us recently have been observing in classrooms, and especially the majority of us being elementary ed majors, we see kids that are relying too much on their iPads for games and fun and rewards instead of doing their work and research on it. And the iPads can be really good, but then there comes a point where the kids are over it and they just want to play, and then the iPads become really bad. So I see the potential. I know where it can be good, and then also I know where it needs to be limited.
Yeah. How are we doing on time, by the way?
It's 6:23.
Okay, good. He references gamifying education, which is what Laura was just touching on with the iPads, and I agree. I'm a big fan of gamifying education to an extent. Like I said, that happy medium, because as we've discussed, there are some children who that novelty of using an iPad to learn wears off, and they just want to play with it. And there may not be games on it, but they just see it as a toy, less and less as a tool for learning. And that, I mean, there's no real way to curb that. It's just like a kid doodling on paper. Like, you've just got to address that on an individual basis. But I'm a big fan of. I mean, I learned to read from video games, so I can honestly say that you can learn a lot from just interacting with stories and such. Like here a drop an outside source. There's a program called Kerbal EDU, and it's KERBALEDU.com, and it's the educational version of a video game where you create your own space program, and it teaches realistic physics and orbits of planets and gravity, and it's insanely difficult, and it's about teaching kids the difficulty of space travel. But I'm all for that. I think if you can make it fun to learn, you should. But there's the downside, and I'm sure Khan Academy, everyone's heard of that by now. It's become pretty big, and their whole motto is gamify education. So they award points and medals based on lessons you take. And my girlfriend's mother is a gifted class teacher in Huntsville at Madison, Blossomwood Elementary, and she says that she agrees with gamifying, but with this Khan Academy, kids will come in and just say, "Look, I've done this. I know it now," and all they've done is they've done the lesson once, got the points for it, but they don't know how to apply the knowledge because they just see it as points. Less is a lesson and more is points. So it's just like you've got to address that on the individual basis. You can't just throw out gamifying education and expect them to teach themselves. They're still children. They have unlimited potential, but they're still children. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed.
So definitely after some time and some experimenting and stuff within the schools and everything, and we'll figure out as teachers how to find that happy medium and everything. But it's still new. I think the technology is still new.
Oh, yeah. And there's going to be another big boom here shortly with
Right.
IBM working on their brain chip. So, ready for another revolution.
All right, does anyone else have anything to add to our discussion?
We decide our sources.
Sources being
Mark Prinsky's Teaching Digital Natives, Partnering for Real Learning. I dropped Kerbal EDU. You can find that at kerbaledu.com. And Khan Academy at khanacademy.com. That's KHAN Academy.com. Did we list anything else?
I don't think so. Are we good?
I think so, yeah. So Oh, all right.